Yeah, I appreciate you. We definitely have come a long way in this Allentown. Who would have thought, you'll be sitting in the middle of Center City
Yeah.
and have a beautiful backdrop like this, right?
Remember the nicest thing they had over here before was the Clarion.
Yeah.
Knife in Hamilton.
Oh man, that's now turned into
A Dunkin' Donut.
a Dunkin' Donuts and an apartment building.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what I love about you don't have to be perfect, you just don't,
Hmm.
and you've been doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
But, right, what
Uh huh.
people don't realize is that I've known you since you were like 15 years old,
Yeah, you did.
right?
You did.
I've known you since I was in the music business when I had my own independent record label,
Yeah.
right? And you're the perfect example of you don't have to be perfect because you kept fighting, you
Hmm.
kept striving,
Yeah.
right? And now when in 2025, you're not even about to take flight. You took flight,
Yeah.
right? And now you're taking others with you.
Oh
So what
yeah.
does that feel like?
Oh, it felt good because like when you starting off and everything, you seeing everything as a vision, and it's like people they can either see your vision or they don't, and a lot of people didn't see the vision I was putting together, and like I had people like y'all that was already doing a lot of the things I wanted to do at the time. I didn't know how to do it. That it actually showed me like, damn, you could do this. Like I remember when y'all got sponsorships and all of that. I was like, damn, y'all was selling the merch. That's like stuff that a lot of people it goes over their head. Like it seems so simple, but it goes over so many people's head. Like when you're an artist, you're a business, and a lot of people they don't treat it that way. Like yo, you can make money off everything. Like even your interests, whatever you into, like everything is a stream of income if you play your cards right.
And I love that you
So,
say that because it's not the music business, it's the business music.
mm,
And I think a lot of our artists get it wrong
hmm,
because they go into it thinking that anyone cares about their art.
yeah,
No one cares. Like, let me say this to every artist out there: no one cares how dope you are,
mm-mm,
right? You can be the most amazing artist. If you are a knucklehead, if your business ain't together, you know, especially in 2025,
yeah,
businesses are going to skip over you,
yeah.
right? Because
So many people lose sponsorships and stuff just off of saying the wrong words on Instagram or Twitter or just having the craziest opinion on something. It's like you're under a microscope.
and it's so different now because there's no artist development anymore,
Mm-mm.
right? So
You
you
got to
got to
come
come
ready
in.
already.
Yeah, y'all better be on y'all lawn hell, ready or not. Here I come. You
Yeah,
can't hide, right?
yeah,
Because the artists don't, the labels aren't giving you guys the same kind of leeway,
hmm,
and they also not giving y'all the same kind of money,
nah. They
right?
want you to do more for less now.
And I love that you say that you diversified your income because I don't want to miss that
Hmm.
because a lot of artists miss their way in because they only think there's one way in, right? You
Hmm.
think you got to rap your way in, you got to tap your way in, right? But there's so many ways in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you,
Yes. Like for example, I a lot of people know me as an artist, as a rapper, or whatever. I had to do. Remember, I was doing stuff for your peoples as a graphic designer that worked at different record labels and all that. I was coming to people to a lot of rappers and artists, telling them I'm a producer. I'm not even mentioning that I rap. It's like you gotta find your. It's like you gotta. There's nobody could teach you. You just gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? And a lot of people they struggle with figuring that out. But just being a rapper, that's like being a one trick pony. You know what I mean?
I think what you did best, right, and where most artists miss it, right, is that the most important things in life
Hmm.
is information and relationships,
Mm.
right? You you developed key relationships to continue to grow your brand,
Hmm.
right? While others were stuck in a space. right? You were able to continue to develop key relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because you said, hey, I graphic design. Yeah, I was rapping, but I graphic design.
Yeah.
I was rapping, but here's my production. I was rapping, but I'm gonna give you whatever it took for us to build a relationship,
Yeah.
not to sell out, but to build a real relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Because basically, when I didn't have the resources that I wanted, I became resourceful so that people can use me for things that I can in return get favors from. Because like having leverage and that's sometimes that's better than paying people to do stuff. Like having them relationships. So when you know somebody and y'all really been through something together and you had an exchange, I did a favor for you, you did a favor for me, whatever, did some work together, collaborate on something, that's way better than me just paying you. Like, yo, can I pay you to do this or pay me to do that? It takes you way further.
You're so right. So Sharon
Hmm.
Lecter, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Hmm.
she said to me one night at dinner, she said, I barter over $400,000 a year.
Mm.
I said, whoa. That means she makes more than that, right? And
Yeah.
then she's able to exchange services,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm that good,
Yeah.
right? We all have something that makes us that good,
Hmm.
right? But we don't all have the confidence to
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm that good.
Hmm.
Let me offer this for you.
Yeah.
And I love that you're saying that because somebody needed to hear that today. There's somebody right now that's rapping their butt off that ain't gonna never get signed, right? But they can still find their love in the music industry.
Yeah.
They can still find their way in by doing something else they love within the industry,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's a thing too. Like sometimes the rapping might not work, but you might be able to be a good manager. You might be able to be a good clothing designer. You might be able to be a good production, like a producer, or a stage production, or a tour manager. Or there's so many different jobs in this world where you can still be in the world. It's like possibilities endless.
And I love that you're saying that because there are people right now that said it's over for me,
It's
right?
never over
And
till
and
you
it
till you say it's over.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I played like you said, in the music industry, I've played literally every position,
Hmm.
right? I've been a rapper. Y'all heard me rap on my own intro. I tried to be a DJ, but the Wigger Wiggers wasn't with me. You know what I mean? I produced, but that was frustrating.
Mm.
Like, cause you gotta have patience to be a producer. So we're
Yes.
gonna we're gonna we're gonna touch on that,
Yeah.
cause I don't have patience. Like I I, I started producing, right, and I'm gonna date myself here. When the 808 machine was hot
Mm.
and the MPC 60,
Damn, you said MPC 60.
yeah, the MPC 60 was the new boy on the town. So I
Damn.
went, we went and bought, shout out to my man Steve Ice, you know what I mean? And it's funny because that MPC 60 that later, that winded up in Digger's hands.
Mm.
Digger Darrell Branch, that actually became the MPC 60 that produced most of Cam's first album.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? But
That's history right there.
yeah, so like it's funny though, but I that wasn't it. I was like, you can hear it all in your head. You know how you hear them sounds?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I heard the whole song in my head, but putting it in the pads, I gave up early.
But that don't mean you wasn't a bad. It don't mean you was a bad producer. You just never really got to learn how to take your thoughts and channel them into the MPC to make it come out the way how you intended it.
Yeah, that
Because you got
that
people like Dr. Dre when he ain't really sitting there tapping beats. He got people in there playing the piano, doing the violins, doing these drums. He's just telling them what to do.
yeah.
Diddy did that. DJ Khaled, they all do that.
And maybe if I'd have thought about that before I gave up, you know what I mean?
Quincy Jones.
I can't even say I gave up, right? I just shifted because you
Yeah,
never give up, right?
yeah, yeah,
I shifted my focus, and then I wanted to rap for a little bit.
yeah.
Then I did the whole, you know, managing thing, label thing, because at that time we had just got the college degree, so we were the only ones with that setup. The only ones that can help our homies do what we do. So
Oh
we
yeah,
switched up. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because it got to be bigger than yourself. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, man, I love what you're talking about
Mhm.
because as an artist, right? You're an artist, you're a producer, and you just released a couple of amazing projects.
Oh yeah.
So in doing these projects, how do you pick and choose not only when you're gonna produce, how you're gonna put producers on? Because you built a camp of producers,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're a producer.
Yeah.
Like how do you be like, nah, I'm not gonna produce? You know what I mean? Because you got a hot little camp.
Yeah. So it boiled down to me understanding, like how you said you understood certain things. I found guys that do what I do, but better than me, and I know how to like bring certain things out of them. So like me, for example, I'm an artist, I'm a producer, I'm a visual artist, like a graphic designer and everything. I do different things, but there's people that just only do one thing. Like he only rap, he only is a producer or whatever. So they excel in that a little more. Like he might know how to play the keys a little better than me. He might know the chord progressions and all that stuff. So let me utilize him to get like what you said. You had the thing in your head. It's like with the piano. I'll be knowing certain stuff, but I don't really know how to play that good. I could play, but not that good. But I do a lot of sampling. But if I got producers like Nova and Glitch and people like that know how to play them keys and them instruments and all that, I'm gonna utilize them because they uh they do an amazing job at it and they fucking great at it.
And you got some amazing producers,
Hmm.
right? Like amazing producers. So how did
Yeah,
you pick those guys to be your team? Like you got,
their talent speak for itself. Like with a lot of the people I have around me, they just have a like I get attracted and drawn to people with talent, and anybody you see around me, they got some type of talent that they excel in, and that speak for itself.
I mean,
I
cause
had to. It's like you when somebody's so good. Like if you got a basketball team and somebody know how to shoot threes, 9 threes a game, whatever, you need to get them on your team. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Somebody getting 10 boards a game and better averaging, you need to get them on your team.
yeah,
Yeah,
and and and
simple as
and
that.
and man, you did it, like, cause you put together the dream team, right? Of just amazing artists, producers, and because this last project, you know what I mean, I caught myself really going nuts because when the and I gotta say this for the camera, right? I got a guilty pleasure, you know. He got a song called "Don't Make Me,"
Uh,
you know what I
you
mean?
got the video about to drop too. Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, "Don't Make Me" brings out something in me. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like you can't help it. That like there, and I was going through something. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I ain't even have to say nothing, right? I would just go. And that man. So when you drop this new project, how did you decide? You know what I mean? Like this is gonna be it. Like you, cause you have some new fire
Oh
on
yeah, just
this.
basically I recorded over 50 records for this project, and then me, basically everything when I record, I send it to Phil, send it to Ted, send it to my brothers, and then I get everybody input, see what they think on the record. If everybody give me a thumbs up on it, then I know it's a hit. If I get a couple people like then I work on it or I not scrap it, but I set it to the side. All the records that's on this project was all ones that everybody gave a thumbs up,
And
the
then
green
some,
light.
and
Yeah,
you got, and you. That's great to have You know, because most people don't know to have a production team.
And they're not gonna be yes men on it either. Like they're gonna tell me if
Like,
they don't like something.
and that's awesome to know, right? To know that you're gonna have people that's gonna check you when it ain't real.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When
that'd
it
be a
ain't.
lot of. I was just talking to my bro Emizi today, saying how yes men hurt people's careers. When you got people around that always tell you everything is fire, everything is hot, everything is that hurt you more than help you because they're not keeping it 100 with you.
Yes. Say it for him again. Say it for him again.
Yeah, it's true because if everybody telling you everything you do is fire and hot, you're not gonna be able to live up to your full potential because you're just putting out anything. It's a lot of the stuff that we do, it be rough drafts. It needed to get changed and elaborated on and stuff like that to make it even greater. But if you're just putting out rough drafts and stuff, and people telling you it's fire, it's like you're never really gonna live up to your full potential.
And I love that you say that because, like, even with my team, you know, we were doing this web show. Web show was all right. We're getting, I know some people. I can call some people so I can get some guests,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they were like, we still need to step our game up, So we created a partnership with the Moxie,
Mm-hmm.
Because everything's about relationships,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right, relationships, and I don't want to leave behind because we got something. Because our relationship, right, we working on something crazy, right? We
Mm-hmm.
got this hip hop on the wall
Oh yeah,
exhibit coming,
yeah.
So, why don't you talk more about that? Because that was really your baby, and I'm just supporting your vision.
Oh yeah. That basically, I always been a fan of art itself, whether it be sonic art, visual art, or any other form of art, art in motion, anything. But like, I wanted to, I wanted to showcase the people that I'm a fan of and the people that have the talent that might not necessarily get the spotlight shown on them. And I wanna put that light on these people and show people that like it's a lot of talent in this culture of hip hop because a lot of the a lot of the people that's from outside of the hip hop culture they kind of look down on it or they think it's like less than we know how that go. We've been in
Yep.
this game for a
Yep.
long time. So like I want to show people that it's a lot of talent in this world, some dope shit that could be stuff that could be hang on your wall, hung in a gallery, hanging somewhere like here to Moxie, whatever. But like I want to showcase that and I want to show people like stuff that I think is dope and hopefully they think it's dope too. So I wanted to curate the art and the music together. So when you walk in, it's an experience. You got the art hanging on the wall and everything. Got the music playing. It's a vibe.
Yeah,
We
we
turn the
got.
gallery to a vibe.
And we're gonna go platinum on something you ain't never see before. I'm not even
It's
gonna
never been done too.
I'm not gonna tell y'all early, right? Because I don't need no one to steal their ideas yet.
Hmm.
But we got something coming with these artists to make this even more exciting, you know.
And we
And
got some big name artists involved.
yeah, I mean, and it's all about, and what I love about this exhibit is that it stays in tune with what you've been doing since you've actually started moving your way up the ladder, right? You
Hmm.
lift as you climb,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And it's many of us forget that, right? And that's how you fall, right?
Hmm.
You fall far when you don't lift and you climb,
Yeah.
because I can't fall too far because I'm gonna fall on the shoulders of somebody that's gonna push me back up,
Mm.
right? Because I've lifted so many people as I've climbed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I climb a rung, you climb a rung. If I climb two, somebody climb another. So we keep going up together.
Hmm.
So I love that you're creating a situation where, there are other parts to take flight, right? Other parts of what you've
There's
created,
more than music.
right? And
Yeah.
you're giving those parts of your artist, right? Because that's artists in a whole nother way. You're giving them a chance to shine and
Yeah.
give them a space where Red Mcfly presents, you
Hmm.
know, and that's amazing, And then they're gonna be in a world renowned art gallery, so their artwork is actually going to be sold. So
Exactly.
so one thing's about presenting an opportunity where they can be seen. You're presenting an opportunity where they can be sold. So that means you're presenting an opportunity for your team and for others to make money for themselves.
Yes.
So what how did that transpire? How does that feel? Because most artists can't even get themselves sold, like as far as music. You're not helping other artists sell real artwork.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's about, well, to me, that's what it's about. I like to help other people be in situations that like I necessarily might have not been offered as an artist. People might not have uh, extended an olive branch to me, like, yo, I want you to be a part of this where you could make some money, and I want to teach you something, and I'm trying to like be the leader of the next generation of what's going on. So that's why I've been grabbing up like a lot of dope young artists, teaching them game, showing them about how you get publishing and book shows and release a project and drop merch and all this type of stuff. Because nobody really taught it to me, you know what I mean, on the come up. I seen it, like I watched people, and I was able, people like y'all that was doing things, and I was able to catch on. But a lot of people, they can't learn like that. Sometimes you got to really
Yeah.
have a conversation with them and teach them hands on.
And I love that you're saying that because of what you that hip hop on the wall, we're able to also do workshops
Mhm.
and other things so artists and others can learn some game,
Mhm.
right? So like that's a whole nother aspect to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to first put some art on the wall,
Mhm.
which ain't never been done. Then I'm gonna make sure we kick some game to, like my man Raekwon said, we kick the truth to the young black youth. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
A
So
lot of these artists probably don't even know how to go about getting their art in the gallery and or certain galleries, because sometimes you got ones that cater to our group of people, you got ones that don't. And I feel like this gallery is bigger than just the hip hop culture itself.
yeah,
It's like you're able to expand out. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So we're not locked in a box. Because a lot of
yes.
times we be locked in a box to hit the glass ceiling. We don't think outside the box. It's like we trying to expand. Like I want to stop thinking local and make everything global.
And that's amazing that you say that, because even though this is a local art gallery, they have global buyers,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So this is a when it doesn't even have a local name. Art House has a German name,
Mhm.
just because of its having global buyers.
Mhm.
So I love that you're saying that, you're always, even though we may be staying home, we're ultra local to be extra global. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? We're
Yeah.
taking out, even as we're here today, we're
Yeah.
taking the Lehigh Valley to the world. This is live on YouTube and on LinkedIn. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So people are really watching this all over the world.
Mhm.
And we're doing something that no one else ever has done. Right? This is the first live show in this background for the Moxie. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
That's dope.
Shout out to my man Adam. For always allowing us to do something,
Okay.
different, and really bring that flavor. I said, hey Adam, I got the new webcam. You know, Microsoft. We're gonna give a shout out Microsoft. Y'all gonna have to pay me for this song. You know what I mean? The UNL. We said we got the new webcam. My guest is in town, so I don't want to have him be online. Let's showcase this room before it fully opens.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
So I'm gonna
let's
definitely
let's make
anytime I'm in
history.
town, I'm gonna
Yeah.
come by, have me a little drink, chill out here. I like
Yeah.
the atmosphere.
It's more.
Hopefully we do the after party here after the art show.
Yeah. So you heard that. Look for that coming. We got some amazing things. Coming here like June 19th through July 11th. We have hip hop on the wall.
Mm.
At Art House. The first time that has ever been done, hip hop on the wall. What's funny, right, is
Pushing the envelope over here.
every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to be able to say that we're always making history, and people think that you got to make when you say you're making history, you got to do something that's so huge that people don't realize. No, it's something that's so important, right?
Hmm.
Hip hop on the wall is important.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't, and it may not be the biggest thing that Allentown has heard of yet, right? But it's still historic, because you can say, we've had this, we've had that, and we got a couple of treats coming, because your brother got a crazy collection.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know what
For
I mean?
sure.
You know what I mean? The coolest man in the world. You know what I mean? What I mean? Don't let the Old Spice commercials fool you. Red Brother is the coolest man in the world, and you'll get to meet him, you know, during, during our art exhibit.
Yeah.
And he's gonna pull out, something special for us so that we can continue to do great things. But I don't want to miss, you know, some great things while I have you here,
Hmm.
because you signed with Coke Boys recently,
Oh yeah.
and now you've done a major project and now a deluxe project,
Hmm.
with Coke Boys. So what does that feel like to now have a diamond artist, back in what you're doing?
It's a dope feeling because before even working with him, I've been a fan of what he was doing, and then to actually come on board and he invite me to come work with him on things and teach me some game, and I soak everything up. I'm like a sponge when it comes to knowledge and information. So like I learned a lot being around him, and the project. He inspired a lot of the stuff that I did on this project, and he gave me some ideas. So like even when I finished the project, he told me certain things like focus more on larger hits as opposed to like making stuff to appease to the hip hop fans. You know what I mean? Like, and when I did the deluxe, I dropped a bunch of records on there that expand out to a larger fan base that people actually is gravitating to.
Yeah, the
So it's been
deluxe is
working.
fire.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm a hater. You know what I mean? So I'm probably one of your worst critics. Because I'm not gonna tell you it's dope if it's whack. I
Yeah,
gave you a hard time coming up.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Not because I didn't want you to make it, but because I did.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
and and I think a lot of times, because you know we're not always telling you, hey, your stuff is dope. People think you're a hater.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not a hater, but I'm a hater. You know what I mean? Like I hate whack stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm always gonna say it with love.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're taking what I'm saying for what it is, then you know that I wanted you to win. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I ain't go, yo, Red is whack, and then say it behind his back and say, yo, I ain't really like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that one. And then when it was one, I'm like, yo, I'm the first one to jump in the video. I'm like, yo, that's it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because that's where I think in my eyes, that's real love.
yeah.
Real love isn't telling you whack music is dope.
A
You
lot of
know what I
people
mean?
take honesty from people as being an asshole or whatever, but I'm like, I'd rather have honest people around me any day than yes men.
Yeah,
That's like, yeah, that was fire, but then they turn around and go talk to somebody like, nah, that was kind of garbage. I ain't, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I'd rather have somebody keep it a buck any day.
And look at your growth
Yeah,
since then, right?
yeah.
Like since the time, since when it was you and Initial,
Hmm.
right? And not to say that was terrible,
Yeah,
right? That just wasn't my flavor at the time,
yeah.
right? And that's what I told you. Like that ain't for
No,
me.
it was terrible at the time. I go
Psycho,
back and listen
you
to
can
it. I'm like, oh man.
at least Psycho do that to you. You can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I thought what was terrible was your manager's name. We ain't gonna even do that. So like you showed up with a cereal. You know what I mean? And I couldn't even say that name out loud. Like, nah,
Yeah,
I can't do that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I can say, you know what I mean, Kaiser. I
yeah,
can do that. You know what I mean? Those are names that I can say. I can say Ted City. You know what I mean? I can say that and feel good. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
You
feel
know,
you.
that other name. I was like, what is he talking about? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to sit some Golden Crisp when he left. You know what I mean? Like, so I
Uh,
mean, but to see your growth and to see like what you're doing now, you know, to know that at 15 it could have been you could have given up because you saw us having a label,
hmm.
and I had artists around your age at the time,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, and I didn't pick you, you know,
yeah.
and I think it worked out for you because none of them are still working.
Damn.
I mean, I can't say that. My man Bullets is a brain surgeon. So
Oh wow.
some of them have graduated to do crazy things.
That's
So I mean, I can't
that's
say they're
next
not
level, right?
working. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Shout out to my man Firas Ito. You know, he's a brain surgeon now. You know
Damn.
what I mean? So, you know, we were able to breathe life, you know, because we were young.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? We were sort of arrogant, you know,
yeah, yeah,
we're 21, 22, 23 running our own record label. You know what I mean? Like we weren't much older than y'all. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But we were
I met
outside.
I met one of my best friends and top producers through y'all. M Easy.
Yeah,
M Easy the PROD.
yeah.
We had
Shout
a
out
good
to M
strong
Easy.
friendship and music relationship together.
I mean,
He
you
came
know
through
what I
y'all
mean?
camp. Yeah,
When you really think about Guns for Hire as a label, it may not have been the most powerful record label, but the movement and the seeds that it planted. Like
yeah.
I remember somebody saying to me, if you made Hove, make another Hove. I said, let me give you a list. You know what I mean? Like because it allowed us because
Hmm.
we didn't know any better. Like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like let's just do it. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like and it allowed us to see like now when I look at what you're doing now, I sit back with great admiration.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like I can say we were the biggest label out of this area to make it to Philly.
yeah,
You know, we had Power 99, like
yeah.
you are Hot 97, Power 105, like you've taken Allentown to New York to an even bigger market. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Philadelphia is a great market. New York is still the biggest market in the world.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
to take it there and to represent, you know, through all of this hard work,
yeah,
you know what I mean, it's powerful.
yeah.
You know, so if you could, you know, tell an artist that is on the brink of giving up because they heard what I told 15-year-old Red. You know what I mean? Because I ain't never tell you to quit, but I
Yeah,
wasn't real nice about the music because
yeah,
I was 20 and I was stupid. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, what would you tell that dude that's like, yo, I just came out of the Guns house and that didn't feel good. Like, what would you tell him to get to where you at now?
I would just tell him like when people tell you that they don't like something, don't take it from a place of negativity. Use that as esteem to power your self esteem, like Kanye said. You know what I mean? Like when anything that anybody ever told me that most people will perceive as a negative, vibe or whatever. I took that and I was like, damn, watch, I'm about to show them. 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 I use that to keep me going because I always felt like I had something to prove, and that was like the fuel that kept the fire burning. You know what I mean?
And I love that you're saying that because I don't think you've became an amazing artist only, right? The reason you're on this show is because you became an amazing businessman,
Oh yeah,
right? This is a business show. We want to talk about the art because that is so important, but you've become a businessman,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman, I'm the business man,
yeah,
right? And you've diversified your income in so many different ways that allows you to really focus on your art.
yeah. Hmm.
So, how did you come to understand I need to diversify my income so I can become a better artist?
Well, once I realized it take a lot of money to even get on. You know what I mean? Like honestly, when I was grinding out and I wasn't spending a lot of money, it was low results. I wasn't dropping a lot of videos. I wasn't putting a lot behind marketing. I wasn't investing into my merch and all of that type of stuff. Paying people to open up at bigger stages and shows. Once it hit me and I realized like, yo, it take money to make money. That's when I was like, okay. So now I know what I need to do. How can I make that happen? So I'm like, all right, let me use a lot of these talents and these traits that I got and try to capitalize off it.
I
And that,
love it.
yeah,
I love it. Because somebody needed to hear that,
hmm
right? Because it takes money to make money,
it does.
right? And I and if you don't have no money, right, you better have the relationships to get to somebody,
Yeah,
right?
but at the end of
Because
the day, you still gonna need it somewhere
they're
because
going
relationships they work better than money, like I said earlier. But sometimes you have no choice.
you're gonna have to cut a check sooner or later,
Yeah,
right? At some point, money comes in,
yeah.
right?
Because
So
sometimes it's not an option.
yeah,
Relationship's not an option. Like you
and
can't have a relationship with Instagram and pay them to drop ads and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not enough relationship in the world for that.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, well, you know what I mean? I'm working on it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I like money staying in my pocket, not going in others. You know
yeah.
what I
I
mean?
feel you.
You know, I like to spread money amongst the team.
Yeah,
So you know, I love that you're saying that it takes money to make money because I think a lot of artists don't make it because they don't realize that they have to invest in their craft. You
yeah.
know, they think that
I
I
think
did a
that cuts
dope.
out like 80% of the people.
Yeah, because I think a lot of them think I did a dope song. I had a dope producer. How come I'm not dope?
Let me
You,
try to go viral.
yeah, like it,
Sometimes it take money to go viral, and
I
sometimes you gotta pay people that got bigger followings to share stuff. And when they share it, that's what makes it go viral. Or sometimes you
yes,
gotta run ads on certain things. Like it still costs money regardless. Relationships are always gonna be number one. But there's certain doors that like there's no going around it.
and even when you got a good relationship, right? A good relationship comes with great money. You know what I mean? So just because you open up a door for me, don't mean I shouldn't grease your palm on my way in, right?
Yeah.
Just because you look, you know, a lot of us forget that. You know what I mean? Because you looked out, you don't think I ever gotta pay you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
If I
that comes from a sense of entitlement
ah,
that people be having. They think people supposed to do stuff for them, or they expect things. So I always tell people like expectations lead to disappointment. You
ooh,
can't expect people to do things. You know what I mean? Like,
ooh.
yeah,
Expectations lead to disappointment. Are y'all listening? That's why he the first one here live with us. You know what I mean? Expectations lead to disappointments,
exactly.
right? The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. So you
It's true.
definitely got to put that work in. And I love that you decided that I had to get to some money,
Hmm.
right? You didn't say I had to give up on my craft. You didn't say I had to, complain about what it takes. You said I had to get to what it takes in order to be the artist
I
I
took
need to be.
I took a couple steps back from music while I worked on making money that I could use to to help move the music. Like sometimes you got to take a step back. It's just part of the process.
I love that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you own a couple businesses that you were smart enough, right, to not all make everything the Red McFly business or the Take Flight business. Because in everything you do, you know, breeds haters.
Oh yeah,
Haters
yeah,
are great, in many spaces, but they
yeah.
they, they don't help in every space, right? So
Yeah.
so some of your businesses, people don't even know they supporting you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was funny. I won't tell what you sell, but somebody was bought some merchandise that I know came from one of your locations. You know what I mean? But they didn't like you. You know what I mean? And I know that was your merchandise as soon as I saw it. You know what I mean? and I just started to laugh. You know what I mean? Because you
Exactly.
never know who you're supporting a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I love that you got into other businesses that you truly were interested in,
Hmm.
right? Because all of your other businesses really coincide with your main passion.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
it coincides with stuff that I had interest in. Like for example, one of them that I wound up doing was I always been into technology and computers and always been tech savvy. So I'm like, all right, let me get into that business on the side. Let me flip computers and stuff like that. That's something that a lot of people wouldn't think to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about like taking your interests and your skill sets and your traits that you have and learning how to capitalize off of that.
And man, and you giving great prices. I just saw you put up a computer for like $40. I was like, yo,
I be
about to,
trying to, yeah. My thing is I ain't trying to get rich off the people. You know what I mean? But it's a business is still business. But I ain't trying to get rich off people. I ain't trying to mark stuff up too high, whatever. And I help a lot of people out in the process. A lot of people were like, "Yo, you helped me get things that I wouldn't have, I didn't know how to go out and grab it, or I didn't have that before." I helped a lot of people out in the process, so it feels good. It's a double win to me.
yeah, and being that you're in technology, especially in the black community, that's a space where we lack,
Hmm.
so you're also filling a need,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because there are a lot of kids that don't have access to computers, or a lot of kids that don't have access to tablets and
Hmm.
things like that. And by you making it at an affordable price, you know, the mom who may have skipped on that
Yeah,
Lenovo pad,
yeah.
being that it's forty
A
dollars
lot of
and
them
not
tell me that.
400,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I can get that today.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
A
you
lot
had
of
you.
them don't be knowing they could go on like certain websites and get things for certain prices. They don't know that. So if I got it right here in front of you, it makes it so much easier and accessible.
And I know you guys did amazing with helping people get access to iPads during the Christmas season.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and I mention these things because in communities, especially communities that lack money, most times what we don't really lack is money. We lack access.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because with access, I can earn money.
Mhm.
I remember my mentor, God rest his soul, Bernie Dorman. He said, "What do you want?" He was a billionaire. You know, I could have easily X'd myself out of never being down again by asking for money.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because that's what most people ask for.
Mhm.
You're in a room with a billionaire. You all alone. He asks you, "What do you want?"
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I said, "I just want access. I can earn my own money."
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
how I always felt. Like, give me the pole. Don't give me the fish.
Yeah,
Teach me how to fish with this pole, so I can
yeah.
eat forever.
Yes. Give me access.
Yeah.
You don't even got to teach me how to fish. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just give me access. I might jump in the water and grab it with my mouth first time and get it wrong. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
keep giving me access till I figure it out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If I got to mop the floor every time because you gave me access, I'm down. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Just let me in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, just the smartest man in the room, a lot of times the man that says nothing.
I say that a lot too. Yeah.
You know,
I agree with that.
because there's so much you can learn in saying nothing,
Yeah.
and there's so much you can give in saying nothing.
I always tell people if I'm sitting there having a conversation with somebody and I give you a response, you know where I'm thinking, you know where I'm at with it. If I say nothing, it leaves you wondering, and
Yes.
sometimes it makes people tell even more or give away more than they planned on giving away because I said nothing, and they trying to figure me out. They fumbling. Now they like, oh, hold on, and if I tell you what's on my mind, then you already know automatically. I treat a lot of conversations like chess and playing poker,
I don't know.
and it got me through a lot.
My favorite movie is The Godfather.
Mm,
So I live by Godfather rules.
yeah.
Like literally, like everything is Godfather rules. You know what I mean? One of the rules in the Godfather is never let nobody outside the family know what you're thinking.
Mm,
You know what I mean? You
I
know,
agree with that.
and most times you don't even know who's family. So most times I don't even let the left hand know what the right hand think. You know what I mean? And then just if I do for you, you're always gonna do for me. Like the
Yeah,
Godfather. The reason people always owe the Godfather because he always did a favor for us.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like even you know even in us doing this space here, right? This opens up on Friday,
yeah.
right? Most people don't think this is a favor. Like, how, like a favor? Like we showcasing. I got I got a signed artist, right? Who signed to another platinum artist who just dropped a project on Friday, fresh off another after tearing it down with Benny and them last week at the Fillmore. We ain't forget that, you know. And we brought them to showcase this new thing. This, you know what I mean? His
Yeah,
following, my following, everyone's following this new space,
yeah.
right? How do you be a blessing, right? Always look to give.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
I like that.
Right? Always look to give. You're gonna get anyway,
Yeah,
right? If you giving, you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Because somebody want to give it to you, so you can give more.
yeah. I
You
agree
know
with
what I
that.
mean? Like, you know, you've been around, right? How many
Mm,
things one of the things you could say, right, is in our relationship is I give more than I take, right? And
yeah,
that's in that's how most people should build relationships. You
yeah.
know, give more than you take, right? And it and
I always tell people that's a hidden secret to building better relationships is being more valuable than the person is to you. Like
yeah,
it's basically the same thing you said.
yeah,
Give more than what you receive,
yeah.
because a person will always feel like they kind of feel obligated or like they owe you certain things. They like, damn, he did do this for me. He did do that favor. He is here every time I call and ask. So when you call for that, when you make that phone call, and you need that favor back or whatever, or they're thinking about what they can do to contribute to what you got going on, they're going to be more subjected to do it.
And I love that because you're definitely doing that because M Easy is probably one of the illest producers nobody would have ever heard if you didn't give him a shot. Not
I
because
mean, I
he's
think he
not
would.
because he don't because he don't come out the house. So once they heard him, all he needed was somebody to hear it. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah,
You know what I mean?
but
Because he's not a social person. He's a
I
dope
think
person.
well, I think what more so what it was that he took a liking more to the video game world, and the
Yeah,
production took a back seat.
yeah.
And I be pulling him out like, come on, man, like you could do this shit.
I mean,
You oh he produced all my biggest records.
yeah.
The ones I did with Corey Guns, G Dad, and all the other videos that like he produced a lot of my biggest joints, and I always will always speak highly of him in any room that I'm in or whatever, because he gave me that. When you an artist, your producers help generate your sound.
That's true.
So people like him, Nova and Glitch, they help generate the Red Mcfly sound.
And that's dope to say
Yeah,
because I mean, like I said, and that wasn't a shot to M Easy because
yeah,
I love you, boss. You know what I mean? He don't come out the house, right? So he's a I have my partner Kufanya. You know, if I don't do what I do, a lot of people don't get to see how dope he is because he's a he's an inside person, right? I'm outside.
mm.
And means he's an inside person, right? You outside, so everybody plays a part. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
I
don't
agree with
say
that.
I wouldn't say M Easy would have never been heard because when you're that dope, people gonna hear you sooner or later.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It just would have took him a lot longer. You know what I mean?
but I
Because
think
he's not outside.
yeah, or I think he branched off into that video game world and excelled really highly in that.
He did well.
So I feel like I was able to help keep him in the music world because he was leaving out of the stratosphere of the music. Like if something like what we were talking about earlier, if something's not doing the way what you wanted to do, but something else is working, you're gonna naturally gravitate towards that. You know what I mean? If I'm making $1 million over here, why would I care about a couple dollars over here?
That's
If this
true.
is paying me $1 million, you know what I mean? Like,
And he's creative. So
yeah,
the good thing about, and this is why I tell creatives, the good thing about being a creative is you can always create.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
can't stop me because I can always create. Like because I write. You know, even though Coach won't take me off the bench, we'll talk about that a whole nother time. You know what I mean? I write. I can write a rap. I can write a poem. I can write I can write a book. I can write a grant. All of these things because I write.
hmm
You know what I mean? When you're a creator, or creative, right? There's always going to be a space
Yeah,
for you to create.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
and
agree to that.
and what I love about your journey was you didn't take the kicks as people trying to kick you. You took the kicks as people trying to push you. You
What's that
know,
old school saying? Roll with the punches.
yeah. You know what I mean?
That's my grandparents used to say that.
Because there are a lot of people who my constructive criticism might have came off as destructive. You know what I mean?
I
Like
mean, they got soft skin.
my big brother David Corbin says he's not a consultant, he's an insultant. You know what I
Uh,
mean? He's like sometimes I gotta break it down and
this
chop it
game,
up.
this game ain't for the weak. I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, like, if you sensitive and you weak, this game ain't for you.
Yes.
Hollywood ain't for you. Music ain't for you. Entertainment in general is not for you because we got some of the toughest critics out of anything.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because being a critic is entertainment.
Ain't that real?
Yeah,
Ain't that real? You know what I mean? But I don't want, because I tell you this hour goes by quick and the hour
oh yeah,
almost done.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to make sure that we tell people how to find the deluxe edition, how to
Oh
download
yeah.
everything, let miss that before. So, where can we find There Will Be Tears? There Will Be Tears Deluxe Edition. Everybody, go get the deluxe edition. But you know what I mean. Everybody download. Don't Make Me. Tell them Pat sent
And the video about to drop. But yeah,
you.
the album out now on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Google, YouTube, Amazon, all of that. Make sure y'all go in there, download it. You can stream it too, but download it. You know what I mean? Um, we got videos dropping. We got more merch on the way. It's a lot on the way right now.
Yeah, y'all got
Yeah,
some fire merch. I just saw. I
yeah.
just saw the short set.
Oh yeah,
You
you
know
got
what
the
I mean? Yeah,
purple edition for the
yeah.
deluxe,
That's my color. Purple is
the
my
color of
thing.
royalty.
Yes, of course. You know what I mean. I went with the pink today for Harlem, but
Okay, okay.
man. I love purple.
Yeah,
But I love that short shirt, the jacket. You know what I mean. Y'all did a
yeah,
lot. Y'all did a lot of merch
yeah.
for this
And we got
album.
more on the way. We got a lot more on the way. Me and Ted been working day and night, coming up with more designs, and we about to pump everything out in the next week. Y'all gonna see it. Shout out to Evil Empire for hosting them 8 records, brand new records. More videos on the way. Shout out DJ Spazzo. Everybody's been showing us love on the album.
That's awesome. So where can they find the merch? Is that gonna be on redmcfly.com?
It'll be on redmcfly.com, be on Instagram. Make sure y'all follow the Take Flight Society official Instagram. It's just Take Flight Society, all one word. I always tag them and everything. That's the label, that's the brand, that's the movement. You know what I mean? It's more than music. Make sure
Yeah,
y'all stay in tune with that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So the merch is coming. The music is out. You know what I mean? The deluxe edition is fire. You know what I
Appreciate
mean?
that.
The original was dope. The deluxe edition gives you 8 more songs,
Yep, yep.
some pure fire. You know what I mean? Like, let me see. I think we ain't let y'all know how dope the original was. So y'all go get the original one, right? There Will Be Tears is the only album that has, the first G Dep verse when he came home,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's the very first G Dep verse. So anyone else who got a G Dep verse can't is not the first one. Right?
yeah,
His first verse coming home, and then you get a cut from Max B from behind the gate.
yeah, yeah. Shout out Todd Black. Shout
Yeah.
out Max B. Home in like 6 months, free to wave.
Free to wave. So this project had some real big features.
Oh yeah,
Benny,
yeah,
OT the real,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and then you brought them into your city. You
yeah,
know what I mean? There are not a lot of at that time because you were still indie, almost going to Coke Boys. That you know can't get major artists to come into their town and shoot videos, show love.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these don't seem like these are just
We've been
you know
pushing the envelope, like I said earlier.
yeah, these seem
You know
like
what I
these
mean?
aren't just
Taking this local thing, making it global.
yeah, these seem like these are real relationships for you though.
Oh yeah,
These aren't just rap
yeah.
names on a
Nah,
on
these
a
ain't just people we pay for features and all that. These is people that we got real relationships with.
and I love that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Cause didn't you do some crazy music for Fuego Bass too?
Yeah. I produced his first single after he signed with BSF. Um, it's him, Benny, and OT the Real, The Warehouse. That joint premiered on MTV, BET. It did real. It did great numbers. Still getting checks from that record.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And,
did the follow up record with him and his Fuego Bass, Benny, and Uncle Murder. That record went crazy too. Oh, and Rick Hard and Low Pro. Let me not forget them. Take a
yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Both
So
got videos done to on fire.
and I love that you say, because people don't realize, right? He said, I'm still getting checks for that. We always talk about creating residual income.
Mhm.
No, residual income. Produce a good track, get paid for life. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so, a lot of times, we miss ways to create residual income. So I'm
Yeah.
so glad that we didn't miss that. We didn't skip over that because we gave you so much, in this short hour. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
We're gonna be
uh,
back soon. We got more. There's so much to talk. We could be here for hours talking.
yes, we could. So look forward to Hip Hop on the Wall,
Yeah.
June 19th
To
through
July 11th.
July 11th. We got a lot of different workshops and stuff coming. Red McFly presents.
Yeah.
Also look out for There Will Be Tears and the deluxe edition.
Yep.
Download both.
Yeah.
Because you need them both.
Yeah.
You need the original, and then you need the other 8 songs. Right? You need the other eight
Yeah.
songs.
You get.
I mean, like, he came. It was on Friday. When it dropped. After a hard. They had me doing manual labor. We out here setting up for our new laser tag situation. So we
Mm.
outside doing manual labor.
Yeah.
Sometimes, to get what you want, you got to work for it. So we outside doing manual labor. I came in, he snapped that on. I was like, okay, there we go. Shout out to Evil Empire,
Yeah.
for doing a
Legendary
great job.
mixtape DJ.
You know what I mean? So again, like you taking Allentown to the world. You know,
Mhm.
brought in Evil Empire. DJ Spazzo shows you a lot of love.
Yeah.
You've done some big tracks with some big New York artists,
Mhm.
some big Philly artists.
Yeah.
You're making people respect the craft coming out of here.
Yeah.
So, we thank you,
Yeah.
for everything that you're doing. You
Put the
know,
town on my back. You heard?
yeah. So, is there anything you want to make sure that they know, before we go through our closing ritual?
I just want y'all to know. Make sure y'all grab that album. There Will Be Tears, the deluxe. 8 new fire songs on there on top of the classic project that we already put together. Make sure y'all stay tuned on the Red McFly Instagram, Take Flight Society Instagram. It's a lot more on the way.
Yes, sir. And before we go, I need you to do what we do every show. So I need you to say my personal manifesto with me. So I'm gonna
Okay.
say it out. I'm gonna say it first, and then you'll
Okay.
say it after.
All
So
right.
my personal manifesto goes like this: I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care because the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. So
Mm.
I love me.
I love me.
I'm worthy.
I'm worthy.
Some people may not like me,
Some people may not like me,
but I don't care
but I don't care
because the people that matter
because the people that matter
will be glad that I'm here.
will be glad that I'm here.
And I'm glad that you were here, Red McFly. I'm glad you spent this
Appreciate you for
hour with
having me.
us. I'm glad that you came out and said you don't have to be perfect. You just got to get started. I'm glad that we were able to showcase the brand new outdoors for the Moxie. I'm glad every time we come together, we make history.
Most
So make
definitely.
sure y'all tune in June 19th through July 11th. Go to redmcfly.com, cop some merch. Go to Google, Spotify, wherever you choose to download music, and download There Will Be Tears and the deluxe edition. It's
Mm-hmm.
Paz Simpson, the happiness engineer, saying peace.